Countless female supporting characters who refuse to be reincarnated gather in the underworld, and their massive resentment forms a haze, seriously affecting the ecological environment of the underworld. In order to solve these problems, Lu Ji, the head of the Reincarnation Department, and Ah Jiao, the head of the Transcendence Department, jointly created a variety show called the Difu Rebirth Lottery. Each lonely soul that is drawn can receive a chance for rebirth, which can be used to face and avenge regrets. Once the resentment dissipates, it can be reincarnated one. Come to my concubine's room with red beans for the hidden fragrance too. Legend of Sword and Fairy. Princess Sanfenjiu 3. Xiaoyer and Wawuxia Jiang Yuyan 4. Prince of Lanling, Jing'er 5. Heavenly Immortal with a Clever Mouth 6. The fragrant honey sinks and the ashes rustle away like frost 7. Cowherd and Weaver Girl 8. Beauty's Scheming Nyeshiner. To have a hidden fragrance. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Difu Square. A huge lottery turntable slowly turned and stopped at number 66. Number 66. The first winner of the Rebirth Prize is the Lone Soul Red Bean number 66. Please bring the Lone Soul Red Bean up to claim the reward. As Ah Jiao recited the name of the first winner, a thin and weak lonely soul was swept onto the lottery table. She looked at her nervously, afraid to look directly into Ah Jiao's eyes. She trembled and raised her hand, saying, "Ah Jiao, I am Red Bean 66. Red Bean 66, congratulations on becoming the first reborn person in this big lottery. Could you please tell us what you most want to do after rebirth?" I want to save Hua Shen, who came to the world with a hidden fragrance, and let him live well. Hua Shen. Ah Jiao thought the name sounded familiar, but she couldn't remember who he was for a moment. The lonely souls and wild ghosts in the audience were familiar with the relationship between Hua Shen and Red Bean. Through their lively discussions, Ah Jiao gradually understood the entanglement between Red Bean 66 and Hua Shen. Originally, red beans came from the world with a hidden fragrance. After being sold into a brothel by their parents, they were saved by Hua Shen and became his concubine. Everyone said that Hua Shen was a promiscuous playboy who couldn't help mud up the wall, but he was extremely good at Red Bean. After bringing Red Bean back from the brothel, Red Bean said he didn't want to, so he didn't touch Red Bean. He only occasionally came over to listen to music and play with Red Bean, getting along like friends. After spending a long time together, Red Bean also realized that Hua Shen was just being pampered. He was actually very kind, caring for his family, loving his sister, and showing great respect for himself as a pitiful person. Unfortunately, in the end, he fell into a fight between Hua Qian and the original female protagonist, and was stabbed to death in order to protect his sister Hua Qian. In a new life, Red Bean will never let his benefactor Hua Shen end up being stabbed to death again. She has made every effort to prepare for this, spending all her merits to exchange the powerful and infinite skill from an old ghost. She didn't believe that with infinite power, those assassins could still break through her protective damage Hua Shen. So I'm going to repay you. I hope you can make your wish come true in a new life. Now journey begins. As soon as Ah Jiao finished speaking, a white light enveloped the entire body of the Red Bean in the lottery turntable, sucking it into the turntable and starting a rebirth. Come to the world with a hidden fragrance. The dizzy Red Bean just opened his eyes and saw his dilapidated home in his past life. This family has parents who sigh and are covered in patches, as well as younger siblings who are skinny like African refugees. At this moment, Hongdo's parents were looking at Hongdo together. They noticed that Hongdo had looked over and quickly turned around, as if nothing had happened. Red Bean, however, saw the guilt on her mother's face with sharp eyes. She knew that her parents wanted to work together to sell her. Based on the plot of her past life, tomorrow the lying man Yazi will come to her door, take her away from home, and sell her to the brothel, allowing her to be tortured by the brothel's madam. Starting over, Red Bean doesn't want to be sold into brothels anymore. She took the initiative to find her parents and said, "I know there's a drought now, and there's no leftover food at home." "Yeah. There's no leftover food left." Red Bean's father glanced at Red Bean's beautiful face with a hazy and lifeless gaze, silently tightening his belt, trying to comfort his hungry and withered stomach. "Just hold on a little longer. Tomorrow, when the teeth come, there will be food." Don't blame him for being ruthless, blame only his own daughter for giving birth to a beautiful face. Even if such a face is left at home, it will still cause trouble and be taken away by others. It's better to exchange it for food to keep the rest of the family alive. The place like the brothel is a bit dirty, at least there's food to eat, so I'll just pretend I don't have this daughter in the future. Thinking of this, Red Bean's father had a hint of malice on his face, as if he had made some decision. Red Bean has become accustomed to various people and ghosts in the Prime Minister's mansion and the underworld, and has already developed a good eye. With just one glance, he can see his father's thoughts. She understood that her father had made up his mind to abandon her, so he revealed everything and asked directly, "Does father want to sell his daughter for food? To have a hidden fragrance?" You are listening at novelfull.audio. How could that be? Being a father is not the kind of person who has a black heart and sells children and women. Red Bean's father subconsciously denied it, fearing that Red Bean would flee the family after knowing the truth. In order to appease Red Bean and avoid suspicion of selling his daughter, he even cursed himself as a malicious person. Red Bean was not fooled by his words. She knew these were all father's disguise, so she looked at her father firmly and said, "Don't hide it from me. I already know your plan. You have already made an agreement with Renyatsi to sell me to the brothel for 5 taels of silver. Tomorrow at noon, Renyatsi will come to my door and take me away. Am I right? How did you know?" Red Bean's father was shocked, and the thatch root he was holding in his hand also fell to the ground. He racked his brains and couldn't figure out how Red Bean knew about this. It was all done without Red Bean's knowledge. Fortunately, he quickly remembered something and quickly set a goal, which was Red Bean's mother. "Bitch. I only told you about this. Did you tell this dead girl? Everyone said they wanted to keep it from her, keep it from her. Why don't you listen? Now that she knows about this matter, if she causes trouble, our family's reputation will be ruined. If she doesn't want to go with Renya and sneaks away in the middle of the night, where does our food come from? How can our youngest son survive? Are you asking our whole family to die? I'll beat you to death, you disobedient slut." As he spoke, Red Bean's father picked up the hoe next to him and hit Red Bean's mother head on. Red Bean's mother was beaten by him and kept rolling and begging for mercy. "I don't have it, stop fighting. Please don't fight. I didn't tell her. I didn't say anything. Red Beans, please help me speak up. I really didn't say anything." Red Bean's mother cried and sought help from Red Bean, hoping that Red Bean would come forward and stop her father. Red Beans have always been sensible and filial, most obedient to their mother's words. In the past, every time my mother was beaten, Red Bean would come forward and stop her at the first time. If she couldn't stop her, Red Bean would hug her and help her block those beatings, but these are all past lives. Since his mother helped to hide from Red Bean in her past life, bringing a bowl of water filled with sweat-inducing medicine and pouring it onto his donkey cart, Red Bean no longer regards this woman as his mother. Such a person is not worthy to be their own mother, let alone to be maintained by themselves. So Red Bean stood there motionless, watching her get beaten, without any intention of stopping her. Watching Red Bean stand there ignoring her, Red Bean's mother knows that her daughter's heart has been hurt by herself. But she can't do anything either. Is there really no food left at home, so we can't let the whole family die? There is no other way to sell red beans. Why do red beans blame themselves? Can't she be more sensible? Can you understand your hard work? Red Bean's mother looked at Red Bean with a reproachful gaze, as if Red Bean's rebellion was a heinous crime. Even when looked at with such eyes, Red Bean still didn't react at all. Red Bean's mother knew she couldn't count on Red Bean anymore and silently curled herself up in a ball, trying to alleviate some of the pain. Red Bean's father was hungry for a long time and had no strength in his hands. After fighting for a while, he stopped and leaned on a hoe to catch his breath. After seeing the motionless Red Bean, he took a deep breath, trying to breathe steadily and demonstrate his strength. Red Bean's gaze at him was like that of a jumping clown, with no fluctuation in expression. Red Bean's father only felt that his performance had been shown to the blind and had no effect at all. This doesn't work. We must demonstrate our strength more intuitively and solidify our position in this home. You can't be overshadowed by a little girl's film. Thinking of this, Red Bean's father intentionally or unintentionally shook the hoe in his hand, causing the axe to make a loud noise on the ground. Red Bean's mother instinctively trembled upon hearing this, and Red Bean's body also reflexively moved. Seeing their fearful expression, Red Bean's father was finally satisfied and looked at Red Bean proudly, saying, "So what if you know? I advise you not to think of running away, but to honestly go with others tomorrow, otherwise Red Bean's father pounded the ground heavily with a hoe, while Red Bean's mother lay on the ground. Red Bean's mother immediately let out a scream, and upon hearing this scream, Red Bean's father smiled proudly. The meaning behind it goes without saying. Do you see it? This is the end of disobedience. If you don't listen, you will also fall here like her. Red Bean understood her father's meaning, and it was in her past life that she was frightened by her father. My father knows that she cares for her mother and is used to warning her with this kind of trick of killing chickens and warning monkeys. At that time, Red Bean was young and felt that such a father was extremely terrifying, so he used this trick to manipulate him for a long time. Now looking at this familiar scene, Red Bean only finds it extremely ridiculous. What a poor performance. Turns out my father wasn't as scary as he imagined. What he knows is just the old trick of changing the soup without changing the dressing. How ridiculous. How could I have been fooled by this set in my past life? What are you laughing at? Looking at the sarcastic smile on Red Bean's face, his father felt that something was beyond his control, and he couldn't help feeling a little flustered. He instinctively clenched the hoe in his hand, which was a symbol of his authority. He wants to use this to hit Red Bean and establish his authority in this family. As the hoe was about to fall, Red Bean casually threw out a sentence. Human traffickers want girls with good health and no hidden injuries. If you scratch me, I won't be able to sell for a good price. Upon hearing this, Red Bean's father immediately stopped his hoe and dared not strike further. Seeing this scene, Red Bean burst out laughing wildly. You've stopped. You've really stopped. It turns out that stopping the hoe in your hand is so simple, just one sentence and 5 taels of silver. Just 5 taels of silver. Red Bean covered her stomach and laughed uncontrollably, laughingly as she cried again. What a simple thing. Why didn't she understand in her past life? To have a hidden fragrance, come 3 times. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What are you laughing at? Stop laughing. Laugh again and I'll take action. Can't I hit her even if I can't hit you? Red Bean's father said he used a hoe to hit Red Bean's mother again. This time, the Red Beans still haven't moved. Red Bean's father felt a bit puzzled. Normally, Red Bean, this dead girl, should have stepped forward to protect her mother and then softened. Why hasn't she reacted today? Today's Red Beans are really strange. Isn't this crying and laughing being possessed by ghosts? No, right. Is it really a ghost on the body? Thinking of this, Red Bean's father couldn't help but shiver, with sweat and hair all over his body. The gaze towards Red Bean became even more peculiar, and his overall aura weakened. But he silently looked around the Red Bean and couldn't see any evil or black energy from it. Red Beans stood there crying and laughing, without any other action. Perhaps she doesn't have a ghost on her body, or maybe she's just a useless little ghost, otherwise why wouldn't she harm others? Red Bean's father kept speculating in his heart, and the head of the family's competitiveness emerged again. Perhaps this girl is not possessed by ghosts. I only care about her mother's life and death when I know she's going to sell her cold-hearted. Since you don't care about your mother, then switch to someone she cares about. Red Bean's father's eyes turned and he looked at the two little girls exploring inside the room, rushing into the room and pulling them out. Red Bean's two younger sisters immediately cried and begged for mercy. Red Bean's father completely disregarded their crying, and his subordinates kept fighting while watching Red Bean's reaction with slanted eyes. He knew that these two daughters were raised by Red Bean. Red Beans love them the most, even if they only have one bite to eat on weekdays, they will stay and share it with them. They are the lifeline of Red Bean. I have to say, this dog dad's guess is right. Red Bean couldn't bear to see her sister being beaten and said, "Stop beating. I won't make a fuss or run next. You let go of them." Upon hearing this, Red Bean's father immediately smiled and satisfactorily threw the hoe aside, saying, "If only I had said that earlier. If you insist on me fighting, it's all cheap skin. Remember. Next, be honest and stay at home. Tomorrow, I will honestly follow the enemy's teeth. If I dare to escape, these two dead girls will be sold tomorrow. Do you still want to sell them? Sisters are still so young, why are you so ruthless? What's so frustrating about it? It's all some girl movies. Living is a waste of food, it's useless. Being able to exchange for food is their greatest function. If you really want them not to be sold, just go with the others honestly. As long as I receive the silver, I can continue to stay at home." Red Bean's father once again threatened Red Bean with his two younger sisters, imagining the beautiful life after receiving the silver from Rinyatsi. "What should I buy after receiving the silver? I definitely have to buy alcohol, I've been wanting to drink it for so long. There is also meat, and the braised meat in town is also excellent. Hee, we're going to have money soon. If only that person had come earlier." Looking at her father's expression of wanting to make a lot of money by selling his daughter, Red Bean sneered and said, "You can only show off your authority to your own family. That person's teeth are clearly deceiving you, but you treat him like a god of wealth. I really don't know if you should say you're smart or stupid. Since you want to sell me, why don't you go to the city to inquire about the quotation? Once you ask, you will know that buying women in brothels has always started with 8 taels of silver. My appearance is even more expensive, and 15 taels of silver also make it worth it. But these are all small coins. If you are lucky enough to be chosen as a maid by a wealthy family, you can also earn tens or hundreds of taels of silver. You don't know all of this, you're obsessed with the 5 taels of silver that people give you, thinking you've got a big deal. The person you contacted, Yazzie, is probably still at home laughing at your foolishness at the moment. Even counting money for someone who's been tricked. Nonsense. Who was tricked? Where did you know all this? How do you know if you care about me? Anyway, what I said is true. If you don't believe it, you can go to the city and ask. Don't you know everything just by asking? In my opinion. Why don't you take me to a wealthy family in the city to try my luck before selling me to someone else? For example, the famous Hua family in the city. I heard that there is a young playboy in the Hua family who enjoys beauty and spends money like dirt, often throwing $1,000 for the sake of being a flower queen. If he sees me as a maid, not to mention 50 taels is possible. 50 liang. Red Bean father's eyes are all straight. He has also heard of the name of the playboy young master of the Hua family, and he is indeed a spendthrift. The rumor of spending 1,000 taels of silver to compete with other young masters for the flower crown has long been circulating. But they usually listen as fresh news, never expecting to be related to these wealthy young masters. That's 1,000 taels of silver. Stacking them together can blind his eyes, enough for him to use for a few lifetimes. Red Bean father still has confidence in his daughter's appearance and thinks she is no worse than the flower queen in the town. If red beans are really favored by the young master of the Hua family, will the young master of the Hua family give him hundreds or even thousands of taels of silver like buying a flower queen? Thinking of the silver ingots piled up into small hills in front of him, Red Bean father's whole body rippled, revealing his iconic silly smile. At first glance at his silly smile, Red Bean knew that his father was attracted. Immediately, another fire was added, and he pretended to be surprised and said, "Oh my! What a pity! Father, you have already agreed with the human trafficker about your daughter's destination. These white silver coins have no chance with you anymore. But it's also your fault. Who didn't make you inquire about the situation in advance? Now it's okay. I can only watch helplessly as human traffickers earn the price difference, and the wasted money flies away. That's hundreds or even thousands of silver. To have a hidden fragrance." You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Red Bean knows that his father is a greedy and snobbish person, and every word he says is directed towards the areas he cares about. However, in just a few words, she regretted her father's lowered eyebrows and sighs. "I wish I could immediately give the red beans to the young master of Huafu in the city in exchange for white flower silver. Perhaps hundreds or even thousands of silver are too tempting, even thinking that Red Bean may use it to cause trouble. Red Bean's father is still shamelessly tempted. Yeah. They are all selling daughters, why doesn't he sell them himself? Why make people profit from the price difference? It's only a 2-hour road, and now there's enough time. Why don't you take Red Bean to try it out near the Hua family? If the young master of the Hua family is interested in red beans, that would be the best. If he doesn't like red beans, he will bring them back and sell them to people tomorrow afternoon, no matter what." The abacus in Red Bean's father's heart was pounding, and he took out the only hemp rope at home to tie Red Bean's hand. As soon as Red Bean saw him holding hemp rope, he knew he had been tricked. "Anyway, my strength is infinite now, and I can easily break the hemp rope by lifting my hand. It doesn't make much difference whether I tie it or not." So Red Bean didn't struggle, pretending to cooperate and extending her hands to let her father tie her with hemp rope and take her to the city. 2 hours later, Red Bean and his father, who had been tied up, appeared near Washington, D.C. Looking at the vermilion gate of Washington and the two majestic stone lions at the entrance, Red Bean's father finally didn't dare to step forward. Cowardly and hesitant, he stood in the corner of the Washington, D.C. wall and whispered to Red Bean, "Do they really know how to buy a maid? How about we go back? I heard that these wealthy families look down upon us commoners the most. If we accidentally provoke them, we can even be beaten to death or disabled. Isn't that young master from Huafu a playboy? A playboy is the most unreasonable, let's not provoke him. Go back." Red Bean's father felt timid and was about to leave, pulling on the hemp rope, but he couldn't move it no matter how hard he pulled. Looking back, it turned out that Red Bean had grabbed the hemp rope. "We're all at the entrance of Washington, can we still be dragged away by him?" Red Bean retorted directly, "Young Master Huafu is more rational than you. I won't hit people like you do. Think of the white silver, it's dozens or even hundreds of taels of silver. Just wait a quarter of an hour longer, and when the young Master Huashan returns from school, you will be able to get them. With silver, you can buy a house and land, and call slaves. Become a wealthy man in the village and live a life full of wine and meat. Don't you love drinking alcohol the most? When the time comes, you can wear silk and satin, drink any kind of fine wine, and even eat grilled chicken with your elbows." Upon hearing the beautiful scene depicted by Red Bean's father couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of water, as if a nail had grown under his feet and he couldn't move any further. But he still has a natural sense of fear towards the wealthy families of Washington, and dare not take a glance at the gates of Washington. A casual glance from the gatekeeper could make him tremble with fear. "I dare to shrink down and hide myself in the shadow of the corner of Washington, D.C. This kind of person will only double their arrogance towards their own people and be extremely honest in the face of outsiders. Red Bean ignored his father, who was huddled in the corner, and looked up quietly ahead, waiting for Hua Shen's carriage to return to his mansion. In no time, a carriage with the emblem of the Hua family slowly drove over from afar. A luxurious little chubby man happily walked down from the carriage holding a grasshopper jar. As he walked, he said to the book boy behind him, "Today is my sister's birthday. I want to give this invincible and mighty general to her. I finally found this mighty general, my younger sister must like it." As soon as Hua Shen finished speaking, a crisp young girl's voice came from beside him. "A delicate and soft girl won't like insects. I suggest you change the gift, otherwise you will scare your sister to tears and be punished by your father to stand for an hour." Who said it? My younger sister must like my gift. Hua Shen looked at the direction of the sound with some dissatisfaction. But I saw a beautiful woman wearing old clothes. The patched clothes on her body did not conceal her stunning beauty. Hua Shen was completely stunned, and his speech began to stutter. At this moment, Yan Kong's essence was undoubtedly revealed. "You. Who are you? Why is it at my doorstep?" "I am Red Bean. I appeared at your doorstep because my dad wanted to sell me to Washington as a maid. Do you accept maids in Washington now?" "Stop." Hua Shen replied without hesitation, even using his arm to bump into the book boy next to him, hinting, "My study is currently lacking a maid." "Rhubarb, are you right?" "Yes, young master. Your study is indeed missing a maid. I think this Red Bean girl is quite suitable." I don't know how much Red Bean girl's father is planning to charge. The book boy Da Huang immediately cooperated and asked Red Bean's father. 1,000 taels. Red Bean father and lion speak loudly. To have a hidden fragrance, come 5. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Did your daughter have a gold border? Exclaimed the book boy Da Huang in surprise. But Red Bean's father bit the price to death and never let go, completely unable to see the humble and submissive appearance just now. His transformation was mainly due to seeing the performance of Hua Shen just now. Hua Shen just looked at Red Bean with the same eyes as those hairy boys in the village. The familiar gaze made Red Bean's father feel extremely confident, firmly believing that his daughter was taken in by Hua Shen. The desire in my heart also rises with the wind, preparing to make a big mistake. Anyway, this kind of dandy young master has no concept of money, so he won't have to worry about the latter half of his life if he tries to make more mistakes. The book boy Da Huang saw Red Bean's father's plan, and he saw many people like Red Bean's father. He was not as childish and naive as Hua Shen, and opened his mouth as if he wanted to say something more. Before he could speak, Hua Shen next to him had already taken out his wallet and started counting money. Unfortunately, he only has over 100 taels of money left in his wallet, which is far from the amount requested by Red Bean's father. I had to scratch my head and say, "I don't have enough money, I only have over 100 taels left." "You wait at the door, I'll go back to the mansion and ask my father for more money." Asking money from his father. Hua Shen's father, Hua Duguan, is a famous figure in the town. A person who has been in the position of the capital for so many years must have good scheming skills. Is it okay if he finds out? No way. We must stop Hua Shen as soon as possible and dispel Hua Shen's idea of seeking Huadu to manage. Red Bean's father knew he could only deceive a playboy like Hua Shen who didn't understand anything. If other people in Washington knew about it, he might really be beaten and disabled by the people in Washington, as rumored. Is it so easy to provoke wealthy families? So Red Bean's father reached out and grabbed Hua Shen, saying, "Wait. I'll give you a discount, don't look for your father. It's not easy for your father to earn money, so he doesn't have to worry about this small matter. For the sake of your kind face, over 100 taels is just over 100 taels. Give me the money, the red beans are now yours." Red Bean's father is afraid that his deceitful behavior will be discovered and bring trouble. As soon as he finished speaking, he snatched the money bag from Hua Shen's hand and ran away without looking back. When running away, he didn't even glance at the red beans and didn't even consider what consequences he would have for the red beans who stayed here if he snatched the money bag like this. Hua Shen was robbed of money for the first time, and he was completely confused. There was a clear foolishness in the black grape-like eyes, staring blankly at the red bean and realizing that it had not followed. The whole person felt relieved. I touched the cricket jar in my arms and sighed, I didn't say I wouldn't pay. How could he run so fast, almost smashing my cricket jar? Fortunately, I was quick-witted and protected the cricket, so I didn't harm my sister's gift. Huh, my sister will definitely like it. Let's go back to the mansion quickly. I want to give the crickets to my sister as soon as possible. By the way, Red Bean, you don't need to come with me later. Let Rhubarb take you directly to the butler to collect some beautiful clothes and dress up well. How can a beautiful girl like you wear clothes with patches on them? My maid from Huashan should look beautiful. Yes. Thank you very much, young master. Listening to Huashan's words, Red Bean smiled. Huashan has indeed not changed, still so cute. So Yen Kong, for him, Yen is justice. He becomes extremely gentle and considerate when facing beautiful little girls. Hua Shen, who brought himself back from the brothel in his past life, also said the same thing. Even because this face has always been protecting oneself, providing oneself with a comfortable life. These affectionate red beans are firmly remembered in my heart. Starting over, she must repay Hua Shen. Find a way to save Hua Shen's life and let him live a peaceful and joyful life. But before that, she needs to retaliate against those who have mistreated her. For example, the father who just sold her. Such a father cannot easily let him go and let him live a good life with the money from selling his daughter. Because he doesn't deserve it. So when Rhubarb brought Red Beans to the butler to collect clothes, Red Beans did not keep up with Rhubarb. De Huang stopped to urge Red Bean, follow me, ah. I'll take you to collect your clothes. Red Bean shook his head and said, can we not claim it for now? I want to go out of the mansion first. Out of the mansion. What are you doing? Rhubarb is very puzzled. Nature is to retrieve my silver. A shameless person who selfishly sells his daughter is not worthy of taking my selling money and being carefree. Upon hearing this, Da Huang's eyes sparkled with excitement, and he immediately agreed to Red Bean's request. Great. With ambition. I'll go with you, and if you encounter any accidents, I can give you a hand. Thank you very much. Everyone is from the same mansion, don't be polite to me. But your father has been away for quite some time now. Can we still make it, yes? Red Bean answered in the affirmative. She knew that since her father loved alcohol, the first thing she would do to get money was to go to a tavern to eat and drink instead of immediately leaving the city. So even if we can catch up with him in half an hour, let alone now. Red Beans and Rhubarb went straight out of the city to ambush on the necessary path outside the city, waiting for their father to appear. Everything was as she expected. Red Bean's father went straight to eat and drink. After eating and drinking enough, he walked towards this side with the remaining roasted chicken, wine, and half a bag of freshly bought grain. I really made a fortune by selling my daughter, even eating roasted chicken and wine. Red Bean looked at his shiny mouth and sneered, pulling a piece of cloth from his body to cover his face. With the same mask on his face, Big Yellow rushed out of the forest. Imitating the bandits in the storybook, he shouted to his father, I opened this mountain and planted this tree. If you want to live from now on, stay and buy road wealth. For the hidden fragrance, come 6. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Red Bean's father fell to the ground in fear when he heard the shout, almost shattering the wine jar. After looking up in fear, she saw the familiar clothes on the female bandit's body and immediately angrily cursed, Red Bean, what are you shouting so loudly, you dead girl? Do you really think if I cover my face, I won't recognize you? You still use my old clothes to change your clothes. Even if I don't recognize you, I still recognize this outfit. Oh no. I came too quickly and didn't change clothes. Red Bean just realized that he had 100 secrets and revealed a flaw. If I had known earlier, I would have changed my clothes and come back. Red beans are filled with regret, but it's too late to go back. In order to deceive everything, Red Bean directly exposed its infinite power. With a casual tap, he snapped the big tree by the roadside, scaring his father to take a step back. After seeing his shocked expression, he shouted loudly, "That man. Don't misidentify relatives. Look at me again, I'm the red bean in your mouth. Does that person named Red Bean have the same strength as me?" Red Bean father is also uncertain this time. The girl from Hongdo knows that she is just an ordinary thin and weak girl, without the amazing strength of a female bandit in front of her. Perhaps the female bandit in front of me is not Red Bean. Clothes may also be a coincidence. Which poor family nowadays doesn't have a few pieces of such tattered, patched clothes? It looks very similar, maybe I made a mistake. It's important to save your life. Thinking of this, Red Bean's father quickly knelt down on the ground and begged for mercy, saying, "King, spare your life. You are the king of the mountains, with boundless strength. How could you be my timid and cowardly daughter? You are definitely not like me, I admit it wrong. Please forgive my sins, king. I have wine and meat here, so I'll treat it as an apology to the king. You can use it yourself, king. I only hope that the two mountain kings will have a happy meal, spare my little life, and let me leave here alive." Red Bean's father pushed the roasted chicken and wine jar in front of Red Bean in pain. After finishing all of this, I didn't put my hands back, but unconsciously placed my hands on my chest. This is where he hides his money bag. Suddenly receiving so much silver money, he had no idea how to spend it. He only took some small pieces of silver money to buy these foods, with his big head still in his arms. Now I only hope these two mountain kings are easy to fool. After finishing the wine and meat, let him go and don't search his body. As long as he brings these silver coins back safely, his carefree days will come. But things always go against my wishes. Red Bean did not accept the wine and meat, but disdainfully kicked them aside and said, "Who are you fooling with these leftovers? Don't think I didn't see your little movements. You must have hidden money in your arms, take it out quickly. Take it out and I'll spare your life." Red Bean's father directly denied, "The king is joking. What small actions can I make? Just now, my chest itched and I scratched it. There's nothing in my arms, absolutely no hidden money. I don't believe it. Take it out quickly. Otherwise." Red Bean directly raised his hand and smashed a big tree, which collapsed on his father's side with a loud roar, causing waves of dust and choking, causing Red Bean's father to cough continuously. Red Bean originally thought his father would soften upon seeing this scene, but he didn't expect his father to be fascinated by silver money. Even at this point, he still refused to hand over his money bag. Refusing to admit it, secretly hiding money in my arms. Do you insist on seeking a fight? Red Bean couldn't bear it anymore and kicked his father far away with a light kick, almost knocking him unconscious. But he still doesn't recognize it. Red beans can only easily break the branches and align the sharp parts of the branches with their father's neck. Blood droplets rushed out of Red Bean's father's neck and dripped down the branches to the ground. It wasn't until now that Red Bean's father saw blood that he realized Red Bean really wanted to kill him. His body trembled involuntarily, but he still didn't take out his wallet. Instead, he hunched down and worked even harder to hide, emphasizing the importance of money over life. The money hidden in his arms is also his hope for the rest of his life. Can't give it. Red beans are also taken. She really didn't expect her father to be so obsessed with finances. It's impossible to use coercion and inducement, let's just grab it. Thinking of this, Hongdo looked at the rhubarb and said, "Second king, search and steal money." Damn it. Rhubarb cooperated very well and went forward to search, reaching out to touch the money bag and pulling it out directly. Red Bean's father instinctively reached out to grab it, but how could he surpass the strong Rhubarb? But in just a few seconds, he was pushed down by the Rhubarb and couldn't help but lie on the ground, howling and crying, "My silver. That's all my silver, mine. Just leave some for me. My whole family is waiting for the silver to eat. I have seniors and juniors. If it weren't for this silver, they would starve to death. Your Mountain King also has a family. Do you really want to watch us starve to death? There are old people and young people at the top, and I dare to make up anything for money. It is acknowledged that there are red beans below, but it is worth considering if there are old ones above. Red Beans don't remember any other senior relatives they have. Could it be that he recognized himself as a father from somewhere else? De Huang couldn't help but look at the silent Red Bean as he cried so miserably. Seeing that Red Bean didn't speak, he pushed the wine, meat, and food on the ground towards Red Bean's father. Who is forcing you to death? We didn't steal your food again. You just need to take these things back. Is this what I want? Who cares about so little food? What I want is silver. Silver is my destiny. After speaking, Red Bean's father came forward and hugged Red Bean's leg, pleading bitterly. He had already realized that Red Bean was the one in charge of these two people. As long as Red Bean let go, there was still a possibility of his silver coming back. Red Bean lifted his foot again and kicked him away. This time, Red Bean's father flew further and hit the tree fiercely. Watching him suffer from pain, Red Bean felt a fit of resentment in his heart. Red Bean's father saw that this move was not effective, so he changed to another way of asking for money. There are 2 daughters in my family who are as beautiful as flowers. Although they are young, they have a good appearance. If given time, they will definitely sell for a good price. If the king is willing to return the silver to me, I am willing to offer the 2 daughters in my family to the king. In the future, whether you are a cow, a horse, or a slave, you will be at the mercy of the king. For the hidden fragrance, come 7. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sell your daughter again. Isn't a girl's life just fate? Selling my daughter for a little silver. Red Bean couldn't describe how he felt in his heart, so he kicked his father several times again and only slightly relieved his anger when he was kicked out from a distance. But she knew that a brief physical altercation could not completely dispel her father's desire to sell his daughter for money. There are 2 ways to deal with this kind of thing, and after opening up, it can never stop. So she must find a way to rescue the 2 poor sisters from her father's hands. To prevent these 2 poor sisters from being sold into the kiln like their past selves. In her past life, she was lucky enough to be saved by Hua Shen with a lot of money. Her own sister may not have such a good fortune. Thinking of this, Red Bean walked to his father with a sharp branch in hand. Just now you said there are still 2 daughters at home. I happen to be short of 2 maids in my village, and your 2 daughters are quite suitable. If you send your 2 daughters over today, I can consider leaving 10 taels of silver for you to spend this barren year. Red Bean's father's eyes lit up when he heard these words and said, "Take these words seriously. Take it seriously. I have more credibility than you, and if I say it, I won't change it. Okay. I'll go back and bring those 2 dead girls over to you now. Your Majesty, you are waiting for me here." After finishing speaking, Red Bean's father got up and grabbed the wine jar and roasted chicken on the ground, wanting to run, but was unexpectedly blocked by a branch of a tree. "Leave the things here first. When you bring your 2 daughters over, I'll give them to you along with 10 taels of silver. Also, I signed these 2 sales contracts before leaving. If you don't come back later, I will come to your house with the sales contract to find you. When it comes to losing both personal and financial resources, it's also your own fault. Does the king know my address?" Red Bean's father was frightened. Just now, he really thought about never going back, but he didn't expect that the Mountain King knew his home address. What should I do? I can't really let the Mountain King find his home. Do you think we don't even do some preparation work for the robbery? We have a clear understanding of your situation. You live at the east end of Yangying village, and there are no elderly relatives at home, only a cowardly wife and 3 daughters and a son. I like to drink and beat my wife and daughter when I have nothing to do, but I am extremely indulgent towards my younger son. That little son must be the one you care most about. If you don't do what I say, tonight I'll take my copycat brothers to your house to kill and set fire to your youngest son. Don't touch my son, don't let him go either. I'll go back and bring you those 2 dead girls. Red Bean's father loudly begged for mercy and got up and walked away, as if a ghost was chasing him from behind. After he walked away, the rhubarb next to him asked, "Why are you so strong?" He didn't know you had all sorts of strange powers before. I don't know, the strength on my body has only recently appeared. This is a weapon bestowed upon me by heaven, so that I may punish those who have mistreated me. Red beans refer to the direction in which their father disappears. Does your younger sister at home have the same strength as you? Continued the rhubarb, seeming to understand. If their strength is as strong as yours, I can help plead with Huadu Guan and his wife, so that they can stay in the mansion as maids like you. Rhubarb is a kind gesture, and Red Bean knows it, but in a new life, she doesn't want her sister to be someone else's servant like herself. Even if it is one's own slave status, it will still be eliminated in the future. So Red Bean shook the money bag in his hand and refused the help of the rhubarb, saying, "No need, Lord Hua is generous and has given a lot of silver. I am planning to use this selling money to help my sisters open a grocery store. Let them settle down in the city and live a peaceful life anyway. It's always unpleasant to say, slave. Seeing that Hongdo had already made a decision, the rhubarb did not ask again and sat under the tree with Hongdo waiting for her father to come. To have a hidden fragrance, come 8. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. In less than half an hour, noisy voices came from afar. Red Beans stood up and took a look. It turned out that his own father was walking towards this side with a group of villagers, and I don't know what he had promised with those villagers. Anyway, all the old and young men in the village have mobilized. Everyone was holding a wooden stick, hoe, and rolling pin in their hands, looking fierce and ready to fight. Red Bean's father was leading the way with a hoe on his shoulder. When he saw masked Red Beans and rhubarb standing under a tree, he excitedly pointed at them and shouted, "These are these 2 bandits. They robbed my money and tortured me severely. I want to ask the secret of our village from my mouth, and touch it to rob you and your food. Fortunately, I cleverly came back in advance and found a way to inform everyone. There are more people than they are now. As long as I defeat them, I can protect the village and retrieve my stolen wallet. By then, not only will you be able to preserve your food and property, but you will also receive the big meat buns I bought for you. That's a sizzling and oily big meat bun. Meat buns, meat buns. Down with bandits, protect food, eat meat buns." The method of Red Bean's father reversing black and white and splashing dirty water on others is first class. Under his instigation, many villagers are eyeing Red Bean and rhubarb. One by one, filled with righteous indignation, rushed towards Red Bean and rhubarb. Even for the sake of making greasy buns, they wanted to catch these 2 people. At this time, the landlord's family has no surplus food, let alone meat. The power of meat buns is immense, they even dream of eating them. Don't worry about bandits, meat buns are the most practical. For the sake of meat buns, go ahead. The villagers shouted slogans and rushed towards the Red Beans. As he watched a large group of people rushing towards him, Red Bean father smiled and, while everyone was not paying attention, huddled behind them and shouted, "Go. Down with the 2 of them eating meat buns. Hand me the tall and sturdy male bandit. Leave the skinny female bandit to you." Red Bean's father knew that the female bandit had a strange power, but the male bandit looked ordinary, so he deliberately did not tell the villagers about the female bandit's strange power. Encouraged the villagers to attack Red Bean all at once, trying to make them charge ahead and consume Red Bean's power, making it easier for them to pick up leaks. Watching everyone rushing towards Red Bean with their sticks and hoes as he had said. Red Bean father smiled with a successful plan. That's great, that's it. All charge up and kill her. But looking at it, he quickly couldn't laugh anymore. The villagers who rushed up from Yanjiang did not have any impact on the Red Beans. I saw Red Bean picking up the tree that had been broken before and sweeping it towards everyone. The villagers were all swept away, lying on the ground with their weapons scattered everywhere. In the blink of an eye, everything was cleaned up. Red Bean's father didn't expect the villagers to be so incompetent and didn't give him any reaction time. It's over. Who would have thought that the female bandit was so fierce? What did she grow up on? Is this strength something humans can possess? If she finds out about these little actions she has done, there's no way she's alive. Let's escape first. Red Bean's father doesn't care about the villagers he brought with him anymore, just run away. How could the prepared rhubarb have let him run away, directly blocking his retreat and pushing him towards Red Bean? Red Bean looked at his father and sneered, "What's going on? Do you want to run away after splashing me with dirty water? No. No. Your Majesty, how dare I escape? I think my daughter is walking slowly and I want to go back and urge them, right? Oh. Do you think I will believe it? If you honestly follow my requirements, where do these people come from? They are all holding sticks and weapons in their hands, shouting to fight and kill. Are you trying to incite them to kill me?" Red Beans pressed a branch against their father's neck and asked. Red Bean's father was so frightened that he knelt on the ground, his lips parted and closed, as if he wanted to defend himself but couldn't come up with an excuse. Red Bean sneered at the sight and said, "What's wrong? Can't you think of an excuse? I just heard it very clearly. You kept blaming me, inciting them to besiege me and steal my silver. Little dare not. You misunderstood, King. I don't have time to admire the king. How could I throw dirty water and blame the king? Little one definitely didn't do this. The king, let go of the little one. I will bring those two dead girls over and offer them to you now. They are also here at this moment, hiding in the forest behind them." After speaking, Red Bean's father waved desperately to the forest behind him, gesturing for the people in the forest to come out. With his wave, a timid woman walked out with two crying girls in tow. The girl didn't want to be offered to the Mountain King and struggled to leave. But she was tightly pulled by her mother towards the direction of Hongdo, trying to trade her two daughters for her husband to be safe. Red Bean hates the mother's appearance of being aggrieved, timid, and willing to sacrifice her daughter. To have a hidden fragrance, come 9. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Mothers from other families are all protecting their daughters, but she is the opposite. She has to do everything for her daughter and sacrifice her daughter in everything. It's really hard to be her daughter. Not only do we need to protect her, but we also have to be pushed out by her to block the gun and sacrifice ourselves from time to time. Can't she just be tough once? Even if you say something for your daughter and ask for a favor, it's okay. But she didn't, often pushing her daughter into the abyss just to avoid being beaten up. Sacrificing all the red beans is not enough. Now we have to push the remaining two daughters into the pit of fire, just to save the man who has been beating her and domestic violence against her. Why bother? Didn't he ask for a fight to save him? Can't you live without a man? Red Bean has suspected more than once that his mother's brain is sick. I can't figure out why my mother should treat her daughter like this. Red Beans have been troubled by this problem for a lifetime in their past life. In this life, Red Bean is not prepared to think about it anymore. She wants to let herself go. It's not worth it for such a mother. So she didn't look at her mother again and walked towards the two sisters who were pulled over by her mother, gently holding their hands. Come with me. I will make you live a good life with me every time. The sisters felt the familiar warmth on their hands and gradually stopped crying, lifting their hazy teary eyes to look at Red Bean. After they saw the familiar and gentle eyes of Red Bean, instantly recognizing that the masked bandit in front of him was his own sister, he burst into tears and laughed, wanting to call out to his sister, but was stopped by Red Bean. Red Beans placed their index finger on their lips to signal their silence, and both sisters knowingly covered their mouths. This time, they don't need anyone to lead them anymore. They actively follow behind Red Bean and follow him with smiles and smiles. Watching the two daughters happily follow the bandits as soon as they hear about food, Red Bean's father couldn't help but curse inwardly, two little white-eyed wolves. His voice was very soft, but Red Bean heard it. Raising his hand, he threw out 2 pieces of silver and hit his father's mouth, directly knocking out his 2 front teeth. This is their selling money, and from now on they have nothing to do with you. Even if you see them on the road in the future, they will all be strangers. Don't come knocking and harassing them. If you don't have a clean mouth in the future, or continue to use your father's name to harass and oppress them, I will make you want to survive or die. These 2 teeth will be your lesson. Yes. Yes. I promise not to speak recklessly. Red Bean's father hesitated while covering his bleeding mouth, watching his 2 daughters happily walk away with Red Bean. The mother of Red Bean beside her also silently watched as they left in the direction. She had already recognized the Red Bean, although she didn't know where the Red Bean came from, she could confirm that it was the Red Bean. It was her lack of ambition and resistance that made her daughter live such a difficult life. Now that Red Bean has become so powerful and left this family with his other 2 daughters, he has really grown up. These are all things that her mother wants to do but has never been able to do. Her life is over. I just hope my daughters can live better outside. Without her mother, who has been dragging us down, our daughters will definitely live a very happy life. This time finally, I don't have to burden my daughter anymore. Red Bean doesn't know about her mother's thoughts, but even if she does, she won't take them to heart. Because her mother's behavior in her past life had already hurt her deeply, she had already stripped this mother from her own heart. I only regret seeing her promising now, it's too late. It was not until the people behind him could no longer see that Red Bean took off the mask and revealed his true face. Seeing the familiar appearance of Red Bean, the 2 younger sisters immediately cheered and surrounded Red Bean, shouting, "Sister," continuously. We knew it was sister. Yeah. Only my sister has such warm hands. Jumping and asking when Red Bean had such great strength and where Red Bean was going to take them later. Red Bean softly answered their questions one after another, walking with them towards the city in the afterglow of the sunset. What appears before their eyes at this moment is not the sunset, but a hopeful future. To have a hidden fragrance. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After taking her sister back to the city, Hongdo followed her previous plan and overnight found a person specifically responsible for selling houses. She used her own money to buy a small shop from them. Although this sparrow shop is small and has all 5 internal organs, it is still enough for 2 younger sisters to live in. But only 2 girls live here, which is ultimately unsafe. In order to better protect her younger sister, Hongdo went to Rinyatsi to buy an experienced old lady and asked her to stay at the grocery store to take care of her younger sister. The old lady I bought has a surname of Li and a clear background. I heard she is still a literate person. I used to work as a servant in a criminal's house, but later the criminal was robbed of his home, and all the servants were implicated, which led me to wander into the market. The others who came with us were all bought away, except for this old lady Li who was despised by many people due to her age. Renyazi can't wait to sell her. But no one even looked up to this Granny Li and smashed her teeth in the hand. Others don't like this Granny Li, but Red Bean is very satisfied with her. Red Bean likes people who are literate and have rich experience in dealing with people, and wants Grandma Li to teach her 2 sisters. So when Red Bean revealed its intention to buy Granny Li, Renyazi was overjoyed, almost half buying and half giving Granny Li the red beans, afraid that the red beans would turn back. When Li Popo was first handed over to Hongdo by someone, she still looked as if her heart had turned to ashes and she was stunned. Red Bean didn't say much when he saw her like this, just silently led her to the grocery store. Pointing to the two sisters running around in the shop, tell Grandma Li that this is her sister. As long as Grandma Li stays well at the grocery store to help her take care of her younger sister and teach her how to read and read, she will provide Grandma Li with elderly care. Upon hearing the words, elderly care, Grandma Li's eyes lit up instantly. Most servants at her age had a tragic fate, and what they feared the most was being thrown out by the master's family and waiting to die. Red Bean's promise of retirement is the only life-saving straw she can catch now, showing her hope for life. Even for the sake of Red Bean's promise, she will do her best to help Red Bean protect her two sisters and teach them how to read and read. Therefore, Grandma Li burst out with unprecedented enthusiasm and tried her best to be kind to Red Bean's two sisters. Red Bean's two younger sisters are both somewhat flattered. But Red Bean was very satisfied with these things, and after explaining a few words to his sister, he rushed back to Washington with rhubarb. Huashen has been waiting for Red Bean for a long time in Huafu. Upon hearing that Red Bean had returned, Huashen ran over in surprise and said, "Where have you been? I can't find you anywhere." Just now I remembered that there were still some private matters that hadn't been fully explained, so I asked the rhubarb to take me out of the mansion to handle some private matters. That's it. Huashen didn't dwell too much on this question, but pulled Red Bean's arm and asked with sparkling eyes, "Red Bean, do you know fortune-telling? Everything you said today is true. Sister, she really doesn't like the grasshopper I gave her. When she saw the grasshopper, she was so scared that she cried. My dad was very angry when he saw me scared my sister to cry on her birthday, so he punished me by standing for an hour. Oh my! I'm tired from standing on my feet." Upon hearing Huashen's complaint, Red Bean took out a medicine bag from his sleeve and said, "This is the medicinal herb that I specially prepared for the young master to soak his feet when I passed by the pharmacy just now. Soaking your feet with this medicinal herb will quickly relieve the soreness in your feet. You can give it a try, okay? I'll try it when I go back later. Red Beans, please answer my question first. Do you know how to tell fortune? Why is it so accurate? It's really amazing. There's nothing magical about it, it's just that I've gone through it one more life than you and know a lot about the development direction of things." Red Bean silently thought in her heart, but she dared not speak up. If something strange and chaotic happens at this time, it will be seen as a demon by others and burned to death by being tied to the fire. So Red Bean dare not reveal any abnormalities, just saying that he knows girls better, especially girls like Hua Qian's age.